The Scopes trial, formerly known as the State of Tennessee versus John Thomas Scopes, will forever be known as the Scopes Monkey Trial. It has had a long-term impact on society and teaching evolution in our schools. The trial, which began in 1925, was about John Thomas Scopes, a high school substitute teacher who was accused of violating the Butler Act of Tennessee, which stated that it was unlawful to teach human evolution in any state-funded school. John Scopes incriminated himself on purpose in the small town of Dayton, Tennessee, so he could be the defendant. He was first found guilty and only fined $100, which would be the equivalent of over $1,300 today. But that verdict was thrown out on a technicality. After this, big-named lawyers agreed to represent the prosecutors and defendant, with William Jennings Bryan representing the prosecution and Clarence Darrow defending Scopes. The roots of this trial began when John Butler, a farmer and the head of the World Christian Fundamentals Association, became angry when he heard of children coming home from school and telling their parents about what they had learned. He said, quote, "I didn't know anything about evolution. I'd read in the papers that boys and girls were coming home from school and telling their fathers and mothers that the Bible was all nonsense," end quote. He produced the Butler Act, which forbade teaching of evolution of man through lower animals. The American Civil Liberties Union offered to defend anyone teaching evolution against the Butler Act and convinced Scopes to become a defendant. The trial brought to attention the fundamentalist modernist controversy, which showed the two schools of thought about evolution. The fundamentalists believed that the Bible took priority over any human knowledge, and the modernist view, which insisted that evolution was not consistent with religion. The trial became so big and famous because it was both a fight about religion and modern science, and how children should be taught this. The actual trial took about a week, and Scopes was found guilty and forced to pay the $100 fine. But the conversations and aftermath still continue, and even continue today. The religion versus science debate still gets argued by many, even today, locally with the building of the Ark Encounter theme park in Kentucky, which aims at teaching creationism, a literal interpretation of the Bible's book of Genesis. Many people protested this for-profit park. Also in Kentucky is the New Creation Museum, which, as its name suggests, does not explore evolution from animals. Quote, "With its alternative narrative of a world where the biblical flood carved the Grand Canyon, racial differences were created by a mass migration following the destruction of the Tower of Babel, and all human suffering can be reduced to a rejection of Christianity, the Creation Museum offers hope for parents who want to arm their children against the atheist indoctrination of evolution," end quote. So the debate continues, and will continue as long as there are differences in religion and science.